At precisely 2 in the afternoon on October 24, 2011, a shocking incident surprised the residents of a place in Quezon City in the Philippines. The first person to learn about the unsettling news was a 39-year-old resident named Marianne. She owned a store in the area, and on that day, her mother said,
"Marianne, you have to go to your sister's house. Something terrible has happened."
Marianne was taken aback upon hearing this. She promptly hailed a taxi to reach her house, intending to visit her older sister Edna and her son, John Aldrin, to verify the distressing news. News of the incident reached the Quezon City Police District Criminal Investigation and Detection Unit. Later that afternoon, on October 24th, they received a report stating that a deceased child's body was discovered in a barangay under their jurisdiction. Upon arrival at the residence, the crime scene was immediately cordoned off. Inside one of the house's bedrooms, they discovered the lifeless body of a child identified as John Aldrin, 7 years old. Upon arriving at her sister's house, Marianne informed the police officers guarding the crime scene that she was Edna's sister. Gaining access to the house, she was confronted by a deeply somber sight. She saw her nephew, John Aldrin, lying on the bed with multiple stab wounds on his body. The anguish of witnessing her nephew's fate deeply affected her. She pondered why her sister Edna, the homeowner, was absent. The Quezon City Police District scene of the crime operation group promptly arrived to process the crime scene. They noted that only the child's body was found at the house, and the mother of the deceased child was nowhere to be found. Marianne shared that at that moment, she was torn between fear and anxiety regarding her missing sister. Thus, they initiated a search for her. A particular cabinet in the same room where John Aldrin was found caught Marianne's attention. Upon opening it, they discovered Edna's lifeless body inside. The medico-legal doctor, Colonel Marianne Ebdane, MD, conducted the autopsy on both the mother and son. The results indicated that a fatal stab wound to the abdomen caused Edna's demise, while John Aldrin's autopsy revealed his cause of death as a blunt traumatic injury to the head and a stab wound to the thorax. Multiple fractures were observed across almost every part of his skull, likely resulting from a blow to the head with a hard object or forceful impact against a solid surface, causing widespread fractures. Upon reading the autopsy report, Marianne admitted to feeling intense anger toward the perpetrator of this heinous act against her sister and nephew. She expressed a desire to inflict similar harm upon the person responsible. Among their 8 siblings, Marianne shared the closest bond with Edna. She described Edna as a hardworking mother who, despite her separation from her spouse and 2 children, tirelessly supported John Aldrin through her entrepreneurial efforts. The police investigation continued, seeking testimonies that could offer leads to the case. They learned that Edna and John Aldrin were not the sole residents of their house. Edna's multiple business ventures included renting out a room. One tenant, Mary Grace Rivera, provided a sworn statement. According to her account, around 7 in the morning on October 23, 2011, she overheard Edna and her live-in partner, Lito, also known as Jugno, 38 years old, engaged in a heated argument in their room. Jugno called for John Aldrin and instructed him to enter the bedroom. After a while, John Aldrin's cries and pleas for his mother, Edna, became audible. Following this, the commotion ceased, and the house fell silent. Mary Grace exited her room and encountered Lito near the sink, washing his shorts. He even attempted to collect payment for her room and electricity bill when he noticed her. Around 11:30 that morning, on October 23, 2011, Mary Grace witnessed Lito leaving the house carrying a backpack. This testimony marked Lito as the primary suspect for the authorities. However, the motive behind the actions of the 38-year-old Lito remained unclear. As per Edna's family, Lito worked as a jeepney driver and had no family in the vicinity. Marianne held limited insight into Lito's personality. Unexpectedly, Edna had developed affection for Lito due to her previous marital difficulties. Their introduction occurred when he frequented her sister's business as a customer. Subsequently, he would park his jeepney near her store, which eventually led to the development of their romantic relationship and cohabitation. During their initial year together, Edna and Lito's relationship thrived. However, this dynamic underwent a transformation when Lito began associating more with his fellow jeepney drivers, causing him to return home late. Suspicious secrets, potentially linked to illicit drugs, emerged from these friendships. Over time, Edna and Lito's relationship faced additional challenges as Lito's work attendance dwindled, leading to frequent arguments. Mary and shared that Lito often returned home inebriated, and he and Edna exchanged heated verbal confrontations. Unbeknownst to them, their frequent quarrels would culminate in tragedy. An intense argument between Edna and Lito erupted before the discovery of the bodies. Lito arrived home with a bottle of gin, provoking Edna's anger. She demanded that Lito leave the house. Driven by her emotions, Edna chose to terminate their relationship, packing Lito's belongings and delivering them to him as he drank with his friends. Lito felt embarrassed by this public display, especially in front of his drinking companions. In response, he menacingly uttered, "Get ready for me, I'll kill you." The authorities were inclined to view Lito as the primary suspect. Strong testimonies from witnesses and the victims' relatives were gathered. Moreover, Lito's disappearance after the incident raised suspicions, forming a solid basis for the authorities to charge him with 2 counts of murder. However, the question remained, where was Lito, and could he be located? According to the public prosecutor's office, fleeing is indicative of guilt. Following the discovery of the crime, Lito had vanished. 4 years later, a lead emerged regarding Lito's potential hiding place. On November 17, 2015, Lito was apprehended in a barangay in southern Leyte. He was temporarily detained at Camp Carangal in Quezon City. In his statement to the authorities, Lito recounted that on the night of October 23, 2011, he returned home late from his job as a jeepney driver, finding Edna furious. She accused him of indulging in a drinking spree with friends and even hurled a bottle at him. He believed that Edna's anger would subside by the following day. To his surprise, Edna made an attempt to stab him in the back as he prepared to leave for work. In the ensuing struggle, John Aldrin inadvertently became the victim of the stabbing. Lito grappled with Edna, resulting in her being stabbed in the abdomen. Given Edna's alleged prior mistreatment of him while she was alive, Lito placed her body inside a cabinet. Lito asserted that he acted in self-defense. However, his admission, along with other collected evidence, formed the basis for the court's guilty verdict on May 12, 2017. Lito currently serves his sentence in New Bilibid Prison, located in Muntinlupa City. 12 years have elapsed, yet Mary and remains steadfast in her unwillingness to forgive Lito. She still bears the emotional pain of the events that unfolded. She affirms that there is no room for forgiveness for what he did to her sister and nephew. She vowed that even in death, she would not extend forgiveness. Nonetheless, she finds solace in the fact that justice was served for her sister Edna and nephew John Aldrin. Marian wishes to convey a message to the victims. To my sister and nephew. Though we couldn't defend you when you were taken from us, I want you to know that justice has been attained for both of you. So guys, do you think it was self-defense? Or do you think it is clearly a murder case? Comment your thoughts below.